BBC Radio Solent.
With Alex Dyke.
Good afternoon, it's Alex Dyke live from his house on the Isle of Wight today, and down the line we're looking forward to talking to Dave Bartram about Showaddywaddy, and we'll kick it off with the one that started it all. I can remember watching that on New Faces in 1974 and having to go out and buy that record. It was a very exciting sound, and it still sounds great these days. Dave Bartram, hello and welcome to the programme.
Hello, Alex. How are you? Can you hear me all right?
I'm fine, thank you. Dave, no, I can hear you loud and clear. I'm guessing you're at the BBC in Leicester, am I right?
I am indeed, yes.
Now, we may have a little bit of a gap between us. Yeah, we may have a little bit of a gap between us, like they used to on all those programmes in the early 70s when they're coming via satellite from a foreign country. So there may be a little bit of gap between us. Dave, what's the state of Showaddywaddy at the moment? Because I know you've left the band.
Yeah, I hung up my crepes and drapes at the end of 2011, but the boys are out there as we speak doing their 40th anniversary tour, and the shows are being very, very well attended, and things are really going very well for them. It seems that my departure has perhaps breathed new life into the band.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you were the face of Showaddywaddy, and because you've had some challenging vocal problems over the years, haven't you?
I think every vocalist has problems. I suppose I've had my share. That certainly wasn't the reason I decided to quit. But every vocalist, when you're constantly on the road, the human voice is quite a fragile thing. So yeah, I've had the odd problem, but nothing too serious to speak of.
Well, we want to talk about Showaddywaddy in their career, but I thought that was probably the reason that you had decided to hang up the microphone was because if you're on the road year in, year out, I think that Noddy Holder, that people keep saying let's get Slade back together, and Noddy keeps saying no, and I'm thinking it's probably because the voice has gone, because it does seem that pop singers can really, really suffer from this, whereas if you get American black soul singers, their voices don't seem to suffer in the same way. Elton John had some serious problems with his vocal cords. Rod Stewart's another one. I don't think Liam Gallagher's voice is going to last much longer because of the way a lot of white guys sing. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think certainly the way Noddy sings and the way I sang, we just used to go out and literally go for it and, put every ounce of energy into it, and probably we were abusing our voices while we were doing it. I know Elton John, he had problems with nodules. There's been a few singers that have had to go through that experience. I've never had nodules myself, but no, it's just the physical demands of literally being on the road and sleepless nights and constant travelling and maybe a little bit too much booze taken on board, late at night in the hotel bars and all that sort of stuff. But no, I mean, my voice was very, very kind to me for so many years, and I feel blessed that it was.
Do you, when you think of the nights you've spent away from home in grand hotels, lovely hotels, not just nice hotels because the promoter actually didn't bring you the accommodation that he had promised you, do you think that having all those hits and being, I think you were on top of the pops more than anybody else in the 1970s and up to the early 80s, do you think for all the glory of having a record that's #1 in the charts and flying over to Germany and being in the charts there and loads of other territories, that you actually do pay a high price through losing so much precious family time?
Oh, absolutely. That was certainly a consideration when I decided to quit at the end of 2011. I'd had so many years of literally being on the road and having to turn down wedding invitations and party invitations, the whole thing, simply because I was always away at the weekends. And really, you know, you have to have a very, very understanding other half to put up with that. But I think after doing it for 38 years, the physical demands were becoming excessive, and you know, I wanted a bit of time to do some other things with my life, and certainly I wanted to write, and I've completed my first book, which I'm, you know, absolutely over the moon about. So, you know, life, you can only sort of do one thing for so long.
When you say you've completed a book, is this book about Showaddywaddy?
The book is about Showaddywaddy. It's about sort of the less glamorous days in 2005. The book's called The Boys of Summer, and basically, as the band's manager as well, we undertook to do a run of 33 holiday camp dates, and they were caravan parks, but some of the sort of stipulations as regards sort of technical requirements and all that sort of stuff were largely ignored by the caravan company, and it led to, well, let's put it this way, a few tales of woe over the 10-week period, and I decided to sort of document it and make very light of it. But it certainly is. It's a look at certainly the less glamorous side of rock and roll.
When is the book out, or is it already out?
The book is actually available. You can get it through all the usual channels. I believe it's in certain Waterstone stores, and it's available on Amazon, and also from Phantom Publishing, who are my publishers, so spelt with an F. So if you fancy a read and a bit of a laugh, and go out and get it.
What's it called?
It's called The Boys of Summer.
Oh, you did say, after the song, Boys of Summer.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, we'll be talking about Showaddywaddy, where they're playing in the BBC Radio Solent area, and there are gigs coming up in Fareham, Bournemouth and Southsea. We've got Dave Bartram, the original frontman of Showaddywaddy, on the line now, live. Dave, it's 1974. You've hit the charts with Hey Rock and Roll. You've now got to follow it up, and you did with Rock and Roll Lady. Should we play that now?
Absolutely, why not?
That's Rock and Roll Lady. That's Showaddywaddy in their second hit single. Dave Bartram, I'm thrilled to say that Dave's on the line because I'm a big fan of Showaddywaddy. And on a Saturday morning when we do Bubblegum and Cheese, we always get loads and loads of requests for Showaddywaddy. We do a show on a Saturday morning at BBC Radio Solent, Dave, called Bubblegum and Cheese, where we play a lot of the Rollers, a lot of Slade, a lot of Shakin' Stevens and Adam Ant and the Monkees and the Beatles and Yellow Submarine. And it's the music that people wouldn't probably expect to find in the most credible sections of HMV. It's not the Hendrix, it's not the Marley, it's not the Oasis, but it's the stuff that's very, very popular. Were you ever aware of the Showaddywaddy image maybe not being quite as cool as you wanted it to be, or were you very happy where you were?
Absolutely delighted to be where we were. The whole cool thing, I think, has possibly destroyed music. The whole imagery of going on TV programs and slagging off other artists. It's about the music. It's not about being miserable and not smiling in photographs or on TV. It's about being colourful. It's about show business. It's about putting on a show. It's about being motivated. It's about making people happy. It's about giving people a good night out. It's a very simple philosophy, and just moping around trying to look cool all the time and not really creating anything, to my mind, has been very detrimental to music over the last 20 years.
Now, there's no doubt that Showaddywaddy were a very, very cool band, and it was very hard to be miserable when a Showaddywaddy record was on the radio. You guys wrote Hey Rock and Roll, you wrote Rock and Roll Lady. Your third hit single, Hey Mr. Christmas, is one of the band's original songs. Then you started getting into covering other songs, and I wonder sometimes whether you wouldn't have been better off putting your own stuff out as A-sides. Whose idea? Were you getting pushed by management to do covers, or is it something that the band wanted to do?
No, it all began by accident, really. On our second album, we did a tribute to Eddie Cochran, the song 3 Steps to Heaven, and it was literally as a tribute to go on the album simply as an album track. But the record company freaked out and said, "Oh, we love that version, that's got to go out as a single." So we didn't stand in their way at all. Obviously, it was a huge hit, and it sort of signalled a bit of a stampede of us recording a lot of old songs and covering stuff. I mean, Trevor and myself were still writing, so to a degree it was a little bit frustrating to be covering oldie after oldie, but because there was that creativity within the band, but it was a hugely successful formula, and who would want to knock that in their right minds?
Yeah, it was hit after hit after hit, and it wasn't only Top of the Pops you were on, it was shows like 45 on ITV and Tiz Was and all of these other shows, not just in Britain, but I think a lot of British people would be surprised at how big you were in other territories, because you were having hits all over the place, weren't you?
Yeah, we were having hits pretty globally. Other than in the States, we were never successful in the States. There weren't many artists that emerged from British shores that were big in the States during the 70s decade, but South Africa and Australia, and we have sort of huge followings all over the place. It was quite extraordinary.
Great days, the 1970s. I wonder whether you were worried when disco reared its head. If disco didn't frighten you, you may have thought that punk rock would have seen you off, but you guys just got stronger and stronger. What do you put that down to?
I think when punk rock emerged, I mean, I was actually a punk fan, believe it or not. When it actually emerged, it breathed a lot of new life into the industry, because it was about angry young men, and that basically was what rock and roll was all about. When Elvis started. So, but in terms of Showaddywaddy, it sort of made us perhaps more mainstream. So we had a huge run of success at the advent of punk.
Yeah, you could put Showaddywaddy on a TV show, whether it was a Cilla Black show, a summer variety show, a top 10 show, and you knew that you were covering a lot of people, from kids who like that stuff, very, very colourful and very, very catchy, to the record buyers who are buying it, and you weren't going to offend the mums and dads. If you put the Stranglers on, looking angry, singing "Rip Your Granny's Leg Off" on Seaside Special, it wouldn't have been the same, would it?
Possibly not. I think that was the secret of the Beatles' success to begin with. They crossed over, and I think they were one of the first bands where the mums and dads actually loved the music as well as the kids that were buying the singles, and that was very much the formula for ourselves. We were having all these huge hit singles, but the mums and dads liked them as well.
The book's called Boys of Summer. It takes you back to the summer of 2005 when you were doing a 10-week stint of caravan sites. I mean, you were doing the big gigs. You were all over Top of the Pops. When the hits dried up, and then slowly over the years the venues get smaller and smaller and smaller, like they would for just about anybody's career, did you find that hard to take, or were you thinking, hang on a minute, we've had 20, 25, 30 years at this and we are still in demand? Okay, we're now playing 1,000-seater venues and they're not 5,000-seater venues. Did you find that hard to take? Did you think, oh, there's just one more hit out there for us? Or had you had a great career and you were very thankful?
Well, we'd had a fantastic career, but we certainly didn't consider that we were trading on past glories. We were still a very, very hard-working band, and we still prided ourselves on our live performances, and we assumed that was why people still wanted to come and see us in droves. But paradoxically, we actually started doing, sort of towards the late 80s, we started doing some very, very big gigs over in Germany with a lot of other sort of bands from a similar era, and we found ourselves playing huge venues again. We were playing arenas and all sorts, so the excitement was still very, very much there, and we loved performing live anyway, so we weren't too bothered where we played. Not until 2005 when we did the caravan parks, which didn't really come up to scratch.
I remember working with you guys and other bands in the late 80s, and I was doing gigs at the Portsmouth Guildhall, say with you and Mungo Jerry and you know, maybe the Sweet or something, or you know, a slightly reformed different version of the Sweet, and you guys were saying you should see these German beer festivals. These German beer festivals are unbelievable. I never got to see one until recently. I went on YouTube, and you'd have some 60s or 70s bands up there and 25,000 people watching you.
Well, the Germans are amazing. They love nostalgia. They just don't like moving on, and that was fantastic for bands like ourselves. If you could perform, that they would give you such a warm welcome, and you know, you get a rapturous reception at the end of your set, and it was really exciting. As you say, playing arenas to 25,000 people, you know, if that doesn't make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, nothing will.
All right, we're going to do another hit, Dave. It's 1975, the one you just talked about. It's Eddie Cochran's 3 Steps to Heaven, but this is a great pop version. It's Showaddywaddy from 75, 3 Steps to Heaven.
Now there are 3 steps to heaven.
That's another thing about Showaddywaddy and Mud too, who are having hits at the same time, the same style of music in many cases. They did great harmonies. Dave Bartram from Showaddywaddy is our guest. We'll speak to him after the Traffic and Travel with Judy Goodlett. Now, Judy... We're talking to Dave Bartram from Showaddywaddy. I say from Showaddywaddy. Dave decided to leave the band about a year ago, leave the lead vocals behind, and manage the band. Is that right, Dave?
That is right. I'm sort of, something's happened to the sound, I'm afraid, but I'm still just getting you in the distance there. But that's correct. I quit at the end of 2011. Did a very emotional final gig. Yeah, I'm getting.
Dave seems to be having some problems.
The studio.
I'll tell you what we'll do. I think Dave's getting some echo back in his headphones. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll play another Showaddywaddy record, and then we'll go back to Dave. We'll reconfigure things at our end. We'll check the line at his end, because there's nothing worse than doing this with the echo in your headphones, and you're kind of coming back at yourself as the other person on the other end is still talking to you. If you want to go and see Showaddywaddy, we'll ask Dave about the new lead singer, because I guess he auditioned for that. Friday the 26th of July, they're at the King's Theatre in Southsea. On Saturday the 31st of August, they're at the Grand Pier in Bournemouth, and then on the 5th of October, it's a bit of a wait to see them at the Fernham Hall in Fareham. So 26th of July, King's Theatre, Southsea. Saturday the 31st of August, the Grand Pier in Bournemouth, and Saturday the 5th of October at the Fernham Hall in Fareham. I believe we've reconnected, Dave, now, and you can hear us okay, Dave. Is that right?
I hear you loud and clear, Alex. Yeah, great.
I don't know what happened there, but I was filling beautifully for time, Dave, while they were readjusting the sound your end. I'll tell you what I was going to ask you, Dave. Now you've got a little bit more time on your hands. If I were you, I would be searching the internet to find all the lost TV appearances, because you must have trouble remembering all of the programmes that you were on. I'm not just talking about Lift Off on ITV and Top of the Pops and Supersonic and all of these other Top of the Pops kind of shows in Britain. I'm talking about the other ones in other territories. Is that a bit of a hobby for you?
I can't say it is, to be honest. Music's still very much a hobby, but now digging out all the old all the old TV appearances, I let the guys at the website sort all that stuff out, and then every now and again he'll send me a compilation of programs that we've done in some weird and wonderful places over the years.
Do you suddenly, when you are sent these old tapes, do you think, "Wow, I forgot all about that one," or "Oh my goodness me, that shirt and that suit, I only wore that 3 times. I should have worn that more"? What kind of memories come to you when you watch these programs from other parts of Europe?
Well, a lot of people, when they look back at the bygone years, they sort of tend to be quite embarrassed at the stuff that they were wearing and all that sort of thing. But I look back and it puts a smile on my face. I just I can't believe the nerve that we had, but the colour and the vibrancy of it all. I find it very, very flattering, and it just, like I say, it makes me feel very, very good and very proud at what the band actually achieved and how we took it out there and brightened people's lives up as well.
When Showaddywaddy first hit the charts in 1974, we've talked about this with other artists around the same time. We've talked to members of Slade about this and members of Mud. Of course, the 2 big programmes on BBC One then were the Black and White Minstrel Show, because of the costumes, and also Top of the Pops because of colour TV. And you couldn't get more colourful than Showaddywaddy. I mean, you had as many members in the band as in a regular football team at one point, I think, and you all had different coloured suits. So colour TV, you were a gift to colour TV, and colour TV must have really helped you.
Oh, indeed it did. But the 70s was an era that it was about sort of trying to out-glam the next band, and obviously, we came along after the sort of the glam rock glittery sort of period, and then it was all about bright colours, and as you say, this rainbow of colours sort of moving about very energetically. It excited people, and it was a winning formula, and the lovely thing about the 70s was people didn't take themselves too seriously.
No, absolutely. Well, here's one of those moments now. Imagine seeing Tony Blackburn introducing this on Top of the Pops. It's Showaddywaddy from 1978 and a little bit of soap.
A little bit of soap will wash away my tears.
That's Dave Bartram with Showaddywaddy 1978. Dave, that is my favourite Showaddywaddy single ever.
A great song, actually. Wonderful song.
Did you get people coming to you saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, and other people in the band were saying, oh, we should cover this one, or I went in a jukebox in a cafe at the weekend, and Dave, you've really got to be singing this one? I would have thought that would have meant loads and loads of fights, or did you get a big say because you were the lead singer?
We were always very, very democratic. Ultimately, it was about the strength of the track. Like I said a little bit earlier on, perhaps we did sort of get a little bit on the conveyor belt of let's look for the next oldie, but really, a lot of these songs, they'd never really been successful in the UK. They were mostly big hits in America, and some of these songs, like A Little Bit of Soap, even Under the Moon of Love as well, they were huge hits in America, but people didn't know these songs in the UK, so we thought they needed to be heard.
After a few years of this, you had other bands like Rocky Sharp and the Replays, and the Darts coming onto the scene before that, doing a very, very similar act. Did you feel threatened by this, or did you think, actually, this is real flattery that other bands are now jumping on the Showaddywaddy bandwagon?
Well, as you say, every era, you know, there's a winning formula. I think when Oasis first became big, there was a plethora of similar sounding bands that came along, and Coldplay. Then you had Snow Patrol and all this sort of stuff, and that has always happened. And I suppose, to a degree, always will. It's just trends. But it was flattering, of course, for bands to be trying to emulate the sound that we'd had so much success with.
If, Dave, you couldn't have been in Showaddywaddy, if I'm going to take those memories away from you now and airbrush those memories and say, but Dave, you could be in any other band you want to be in, any other band in the world. If it wasn't for Showaddywaddy, who would you have been a member of?
The Tweets.
Oh, the Birdie song.
That's just my sense of humour. Crikey, I've never really considered that one. I mean, there are a lot of other bands. I probably would have liked to, done the odd song, but I think to be perfectly honest, I was quite happy where I was.
Well, there's nothing wrong in being in Showaddywaddy, but I wondered if maybe we could have replaced you as a member of Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones or Bob Marley and the Wailers or the Glitter Band or the Rubettes. I didn't know if there was another band you thought, boy, I should have been in that band.
Well, the band I really loved and a lot of songs that I used to sing was a 60s band called Love. And I used to love singing their songs. There was a guy called Arthur Lee who I think died not too long ago, and I used to absolutely love singing their songs.
Yeah, they were another band, very big in America, not so big here, but a lot of people remember Alone Again or, won't they? That
Absolutely.
was a terrific track from them.
Wonderful, wonderful song.
Okay, we're going to do another Showaddywaddy single. Dave's got a book out. The book's called The Boys of Summer. It was written about Showaddywaddy's summer season in 2005. So before we go to our next Showaddywaddy track, let's just get back to that very briefly, Dave, because, you could have written about Under the Moon of Love selling 985,000 copies. You could have catalogued your Top of the Pops appearances. You could have talked about glorious tours. But you picked this tour of caravan parks in 2005. That's very brave and very honest of you, wasn't it?
Well, I suppose so. I remember when we were doing the tour, after 3 or 4 dates, we thought, what on earth are we doing and playing these places? Because they really didn't have the facilities to put on a band of our size. We couldn't get our PA systems into some of the rooms. It was bizarre. And after 3 or 4 days we were chatting, saying, wouldn't this make an incredible fly-on-the-wall documentary? And I started making a few notes for the first time in my career and just thought what a great subject matter it would be, rather than just another biography. But that said, my second book will actually cover 40 years of Showaddywaddy, which I've actually completed the first draft of that, so that's in the pipeline, possibly for about in a year's time.
All right, we'll get back and talking about Showaddywaddy in the early days after we've heard. Now, for my second favourite single by Showaddywaddy, I don't know if it's Pretty Little Angel Eyes or I Wonder Why. So I've picked for this one, Dave. I hope you like it. It's I Wonder Why.
I love you like I do. No, I do. Don't know why I love you. Don't know why I care. I do.
Showaddywaddy and I Wonder. We're really pleased that Dave Bartram is on the line. Dave is managing Showaddywaddy these days. Dave, this new lead singer, he had a lot to live up to. Did you audition him yourself?
I sat in on quite a few of the band's rehearsals when we were trying to put the new band together, the new lineup, and he's doing a great job. He's different to me. He's a bit more theatrical, but he's doing a fantastic job.
Okay, what's his name? Let's give him a name.
His name is Andy Pilos.
Right. Now, when you've got a big band like Showaddywaddy, you've got obviously more personalities in the band. Is it hard to keep you guys all on the road and friendly with the original members when different people have different opinions, people are getting married and having kids, wanting to travel more, wanting to travel less? That must have been a bit of a challenge for you over the years.
Well, I suppose when we first started out, there were 8 members, and you know, it's a lot of mouths to feed, and as you say, a lot of different opinions. But you know, ultimately, we worked it out. There were a few rows, there always are with bands. But for the band to have suffered sort of a few lineup changes and things, and still come out sort of the other side, still doing a great show, still enjoying what we're doing, I think that was a testament to not only our fitness, but our actual level, what we actually did.
Is it true you turned down Sugar Baby Love by the Rubettes, which starts with Bub, Showaddywaddy, because you didn't want to do covers?
Well, that wasn't actually a cover. That song was written for Showaddywaddy by 2 guys, Wayne Bickerton and Tony Waddington. And basically what it came down to, we plumped for a different record company. We plumped for Bell Records, and that song was sort of part and parcel of a deal with Polydor Records. And subsequently the Rubettes were formed.
So, you could have been singing Sugar Baby Love for 30 years. So maybe that was a lucky escape, Dave.
Well, I think it was a challenging tune, but I did sing it a couple of times. But yeah, I thought it was a great song, but it was great that the Rubettes had a number 1 with it, and we were delighted that to have an original song as our first hit.
Well, it was a great song. Look, Dave, our time is up. Thank you very, very much for joining us on the programme today. Showaddywaddy play on Friday the 26th of July at the King's Theatre in Southsea. A few nights later, Saturday the 31st of August at the Grand Pier in Bournemouth. And then at the end of the summer into the autumn, Saturday the 5th of October, they're at the Fernham Hall in Fareham. Dave's book is called The Boys of Summer, if you want to hear about that disastrous tour in 2005. And if you're looking forward to the good times of Showaddywaddy, Dave's 40-year history of Showaddywaddy will be out fairly soon. When it is, Dave, will you come back and do the show again?
I'd be delighted to, Alex. It's always great to talk to you.
All right. Nice to talk to you too, Dave Bartram. And I guess you guys have got a great website. Are you running a website for Showaddywaddy?
Yeah, showaddywaddy.net.
Showaddywaddy.net. Okay, Dave, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Pretty little angel lies, pretty little angel lies, pretty little angel, pretty little angel, pretty little